Are you on a mission to save your marriage? Hello, I'm Dr. Debi. If this episode feels counterintuitive at first, I encourage you to stay with me until the end because this distinction has the power to completely change how you approach intimacy, growth, and connection. Marriage isn't what people think it is. Many counselors and even well-meaning pastors treat marriage as if it were an entity in its own right, something that must be worked on, repaired, or rescued, or saved. But marriage itself isn't something that can be fixed. Marriage is a byproduct of how a husband and wife interact with one another, the natural result of the way they think, feel, and grow and behave toward one another over time. And that distinction, while subtle, changes everything. Consider a couple who genuinely cares about one another. They read the books, they listen to podcasts, they schedule the conversations, they attend workshops, they're committed, they're responsible, they're serious about the marriage. And yet, something begins to shift. One mate starts to feel evaluated instead of appreciated. The other feels responsible, anxious, or quietly resentful. Their conversations become heavy. Intimacy feels strained. They're doing everything for the marriage, and yet somehow they feel less connected than before. Not because they don't love one another, but because love has slowly turned into correction. This is where many good couples get stuck. Not because they are selfish, not because they're lazy, but because they've been taught to focus on the wrong target. Marriage is not an entity, it's an outcome. Marriage has no independent will. It has no nervous system, no ability to heal itself, no capacity for growth on its own. And it's not a machine like a car or a refrigerator. Marriage does not wake up in the morning and decide how the day will go. Two people do that. Every marriage is continuously co-created by how each partner sees themselves, how they see one another, how they respond to stress, how they handle differences, how they interpret disappointment. Marriage doesn't happen magically, but it does happen automatically as the cumulative result of thousands of small choices made over time. Thousands of small choices made over time. And both partners are always contributing to what they've co-created, whether the result feels nourishing or painful. When marriage becomes the main focus, something subtle but destructive often happens. The focus shifts from loving a person to managing a person. And when that happens, the messages being sent, often unintentionally, can be deeply wounding. Messages like, "There's something fundamentally wrong here. You are a problem to be solved. Oh, I can't fully love you until you change." Even when spoken kindly, these messages land heavily. Trying to fix, manage, or control a spouse never works. Not ever. Because you cannot love someone deeply while simultaneously trying to re-engineer them. For many men, being fixed feels like being disrespected. It communicates you're failing, you're inadequate. For many women, being responsible for the marriage feels exhausting and isolating. It communicates if this doesn't work, it must be my fault because it's my responsibility. Both partners begin walking on eggshells. Both feel misunderstood. And ironically, in an effort to save the marriage, connection continues to erode. The very thing they are trying to protect is slowly being starved. This isn't about ignoring problems. It's about seeing problems differently. Challenges are not proof that something is broken. They're signposts pointing to the next level. When couples view difficulties as invitations to grow rather than evidence of failure, the entire emotional climate changes. Instead of who's wrong, what needs fixing, the questions become, what is this revealing about us, together and separately? What is being asked of me in this moment? What new strength, understanding, or maturity is being invited forward? This shift moves couples out of management and into meaning. Marriage is about loving the person, not policing the process. Healthy relationships are not built by constant assessment. They're built by presence, responsiveness, and trust. This means listening to learn, not to correct. Offering support without giving direction. Allowing growth without control. It means creating emotional safety by believing in one another's capacity to handle life, even imperfectly. When a spouse feels believed in, something powerful awakens. Confidence grows, responsibility deepens, and connection strengthens. One of the quiet fears many couples carry is this: if I focus on my own growth, won't that pull us apart? The opposite is true if you're truly growing. Personal growth is not about independence from one another, it's about freedom to grow with one another. Emotionally healthy individuals don't destabilize relationships, they stabilize them. So when each partner knows their own value, owns their own vulnerabilities, and takes responsibility for their emotional life, their relationship becomes calmer, not shakier. Two people committed to their own growth create far more positive energy than two people committed to fixing each other or saving a marriage. Marriage reaches its fullest expression when it moves beyond survival into purpose. Not fear-based commitment, not holding on, but conscious, intentional creation. Marriage thrives when two emotionally healthy individuals choose to build something meaningful together with conscious attention and purpose. This is where marriage becomes more than companionship. It becomes a shared vision, a shared mission, a place where differences are not tolerated, but leveraged, where strength and beauty are honored, where support flows in both directions. Not because the marriage demands it, but because two people choose it. When couples stop making marriage the project and start making love, respect, understanding, and growth a priority, something remarkable happens. The atmosphere softens, defensiveness drops, and desire returns. Trust builds. The marriage, the byproduct, begins to flourish, not because it's finally being worked on, but because the people within it are finally being loved well. That is how strong marriages are actually created. For those of you who are listening and thinking, well, this perspective makes sense, but we'd like help seeing how it applies to us, I've created free educational resources designed to introduce the psychology behind marriage and the distinct perspectives men and women bring into it. You can begin there. Just visit drdebbiesmith.com/free. The bottom line, I'm really glad you're here today, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care.